So is location the only or the primary factor whether or not a short-term vacation rental property is going to be a success in Bali? Is all this hype you hear on the internet about location misleading you as an investor to pick a place that won't see long-term success? If you want to know more, stay tuned and find out here on Market Insights with Jing on the Bali Business Review. We're all going to shocking details and paint a more complete picture of what factors can be holistically considered besides just location. I'm so glad that you decided to join again. And once again, my name is Jing, CEO of Book of Vista, here to talk about market insights. Let's dive into the facts. Across YouTube over the past few days, watching videos from 2-3 years ago, I noticed an oversimplification of correct investment principles and what the correct attributes are for making a quality investment decision here in Bali. I'll begin with one of the myths that I keep on hearing. As you go around to different YouTube influencers, you'll hear this oversimplified statement that it's all about location. You need to invest in this location, whether it's Canggu, Balangan, or Ubud, and everything else will fix itself. Anybody who goes online and says such, I don't know, at best it's misleading, at worst it's hypocritical, and somebody is just shoving down a false idea into your head, it should not really gain an audience, and this is why. Location is, of course, important. Location is one of the primary factors, but there's something more important, and I'll give you the tools to make your own self-assessment of high quality. So here are the 2 tools that you need, and there's just 2 simple questions. If anybody tells you location is great, you should always seek by location, here's your 2 qualifying questions to see if they know what they're talking about. First, do you know anybody in that location who has failed in their investment? Second, do you know anybody who's been successful choosing a location outside of the area that you're promoting? If they can't give good answers for both, you should stop listening and find another source of information because they're not knowledgeable about the importance or drawback of a location. Now, I'll break it down step by step and tell you the facts. Yes, there is a concept called, say, the macroeconomic factors in determining a location. That could be things like access. Is there clean and easy access into that area, or is there congestion? Of course, better access means better likelihood that people can visit your part of Bali. Number 2 is the social infrastructure. Are there enough things to do, like places to eat, shopping, gyms, cafes, restaurants, co-working spaces? If there's a social infrastructure, it heightens the attractiveness and desire to visit the location. Third level is cultural, historical, heritage value. Are there any temples, festivals, DJs? That adds attractiveness to your macroeconomic factors. Why do I call those macroeconomic factors? Because those will benefit everyone in that location. Those will benefit you, your neighbor, and, well, everyone in that neighborhood. But then what comes really next is the importance of the microeconomic factors of that location. That's the specific details of the ring around your property. What do I mean by that? You have to remember that if you really want to gain a lot of investment value, things like this will matter. Does your neighbor have animals that could interfere with the guest experience, such as roosters or a pig farm that stinks or dogs that bark ceaselessly? These will show up in reviews and could deteriorate the microeconomic factors of your location. Does your location have terrible Wi-Fi access? That might show up on the reviews, and that can affect the segment travelers willing to stay in your property. Are there micro issues such as getting trucked in water versus getting piped in water? Other issues with a neighbor who has a loud or smelly place of business? Maybe somebody is painting. I've seen this happen before. I've seen people have villas next to car repair shops or next to glass cutting shops, and the noise and chemical fumes deteriorate any possibility of a quality experience. Remember, the zoning laws are often not followed, and it is possible to mix a local place of business together with your residential property, and that might not be a nice feeling if it comes together. So when you study location, you have to ask yourself the macroeconomic but also the microeconomic factors. This is probably why it might be a good idea to not buy off plan of any development and go and see for yourself, or at least get somebody who you trust to go down there regularly and record videos at all times of day such that you can get a clear picture of the microeconomic condition. There could be a prayer call or a Hindu festival happening very frequently that might affect that location. You want to be clear about that. Once you've gotten over this difference, then you need to go to the other question. Has anybody been successful by choosing an area that has not been popular yet? The answer is yes. This is how the most successful investors always get rich. They go to an area before anybody else knows about it. They put down small amounts of money, and when everybody else knows about it, they get very rich. This has happened constantly. Are you going to feel good being the first investor where nobody is understand your risk, potential upsides and downsides? Many people have tried, some have failed, but some have seen resounding success. The largest success stories I've ever seen were from investors who played their cards differently. I'll go over a few classic examples that I've seen in my 2 decades of experience. Number one was the Joya guys. So this was Eric from Nice. He's a French firefighter, and he goes over to Balangan beach because he enjoys the beach, and he decides to lease, not buy, lease a large piece of land that was about a hectare behind another large piece of land. Now, the piece of land in front of him had direct beach access. He did not have beach access. He would have to have his guests walk over his neighbor's land. That's risky for many reasons. Number one, it's risky because it's in a new location. Number two, it's risky because he doesn't have access to the beach. However, what happened later was remarkable. He found out the owner of the land was the Hartono family. The Hartono family had no plans on developing. They were keeping that land available as a land bank, and he went uninterrupted for almost 30 years in Bali. He made a fortune renting out his resort. We know it because we were the managing partner for his resort for 4 years. So this is a type of risk taker who saw no popularity before the area was popular and then really pioneered this space. The second extreme example I can think of was, of course, the founder of Aman Resorts, Adrian Zecca. Adrian always goes to locations before they're popular. He talks with government officials and plans one of his $2,000 a night resorts, and he makes a killing every time from bringing his brand to locations before they're popular. It's his judgment, his choice that defines the value of a location. These two folks are interesting. They're not the rule, more the exception, but if you want the highest return on investment, you need to accept there's risk. And that's not just with land in Bali, that's with hedge funds, any investment you could focus your capital into, you're going to come upon this simple principle. I just wanted to make sure it's out there. We've talked about clarifying this misconception that many investors have land. Now let's go to the king. If you've stayed with me, this is the great part. This is the hidden secret. Location isn't the correct understanding. What is highly valuable land? Then what is it? What is the idea one must have? Are you ready? It's the guest experience. The guest experience in Bali is king. The guest experience determines whether or not a location will be powerful, and the guest experience can only be built with 2 factors. You need a location and a design. Put both together to create an incredible guest experience and thereby creating the high value, high yield return on investment that you see. Every success case I've seen in 20 years where the investor understood this did fantastic. If you don't believe me, look at beach clubs. There are many different types in Bali. They're all in good locations. They're all next to the beach. But why is it that the enduring beach clubs that do very well year after year, such as Fins, such as Potato Head, what do they have in common? Not only do they have a great location, they seriously think about the guest experience. Fins is always thinking about the family market, about the bread and butter. They're thinking about what they can add to create a theme park experience. Potato Head focuses on music. They focus a lot on the design and the appreciation of music, and they build a very unique, strongly branded, strongly attributable, recognizable, iconic architecture and design to their beach club. And so appreciation that each owner has of both the location and the design combine together to create a successful. Does that mean their neighbors are going to do well? No. If you look at the neighbor to the left and the neighbor to the right, Fins and Potato Head, I don't think anybody knows who they are. But it's never just about location. In Bali, it's about guest experience. Location is half of it, and design is the other half. Maybe you are in a location not popular yet. If that's the case, then focus on design. Focus on creating a design that is so seductive, that is so alluring, that's so compelling that people will have to visit you. If you need help, use references with these days on AI, or just simply find other locations throughout the world that have already been popularized with an idea and just bring it to Bali. That's a great idea of how you can borrow design. If you're in a strong location and you think that's good enough, I'm sorry to say that would be very unfortunate if you had already gotten 80% of the way and neglected the last 20% on failure to craft a design. The design doesn't necessarily need to be too radical or anything, but it should be distinguishable. It should be different enough than what your neighbors are providing. Otherwise, you will find yourself in high competition with everybody else who is also in the same location. Trust me, you do not want to be the last person to build the Mediterranean white style villa anymore. It's very abundant. Be the first to build an eco lodge that is built from titanium or some other exotic material. You might find that could be what people are really craving for. So once again, don't be fooled and don't be misled by YouTube influencers with no experience. Location is not that simple. Location plus design equals a fantastic guest experience. The secret for high return on investment in Bali. This is Jing from Market Insights and the Bali Business Review. If you have any feedback or want to question this line of thinking, I've tested this idea out with every success case and every failure case that I can remember in Bali, which has been in the hundreds at least. This is my insight. Subscribe, comment if you like this, and we'll keep on producing, and we'll see you at the next episode.